The first recorded art heist happened in 1473 when Polish pirates boarded a ship that was en route to Florence. They walked away with Hans Memling's 1467 to 71 painting, The Last Judgment, an intricate triptych envisioning the second coming of Christ. The painting today resides at the National Museum in Gdansk, Poland, and Italians have been seeking its recovery ever since. The Memling heist is an example of how significantly a theft can transform an artwork's history forever. And it is hardly the only piece throughout history to have been permanently altered in this way. Here are the 10 greatest art heists of all time. On a dark and stormy night in 1969, thieves entered the Oratory of San Lorenzo in Palermo, Italy, and walked away with Caravaggio's Nativity with St. Francis and St. Lawrence, a dramatic scene made in 1600 that once hung over the altar. Experts assumed it was lost forever. In the years since, many theories have been floated about what may have happened to the work, including a plausible idea that the Sicilian mafia was involved. In 2017, Italy's Anti-Mafia Commission reopened the case with a new lead involving a now deceased Swiss art dealer. As is often the case, when historically significant artworks are stolen, the painting may have been perceived as being too valuable to resell illegally, and the dealer advised the thieves to cut up the canvas since no one would purchase a work so famous. The Saliera, a 1543 golden salt cellar sculpture featuring land and sea presiding over their riches, is the sole work attributed to Renaissance master Benvenuto Cellini. That made it all the more tragic when, in 2003, a thief removed it from its case at the Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna. Wilfried Siepel, the museum's director at the time, called the theft of the $60 million artwork a catastrophe. After 2 attempts to receive a $12 million ransom for the work, Robert Mang, a security expert who specialized in alarm systems, was found to be the thief. He then led investigators to a forest outside Vienna where he had buried the Saliera in a lead box and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Vincent van Gogh's Poppy Flowers, an 1887 still life, was stolen from the Mohammed Mahmoud Khalil Museum in Giza, Egypt in 2010. It should not have been so easy to steal. Only 9 visitors came to the museum on the day it was cut from its frame and secreted out of the institution. The reason the thieves had been so successful was simple. The painting's alarm didn't work, and neither did any of the other alarms on any of the works in the museum for that matter. After the culture minister retracted a claim that the work had been found in a Cairo airport, the theft began wreaking havoc in Egypt. 11 culture ministry workers resigned and several guards at the museum were arrested. Valued at anywhere between $50 million and $55 million, the painting remains missing as of 2021. In 1994, 2 guards were bound and gagged at Frankfurt's Schönkunsthalle as thieves removed 2 J.M.W. Turner paintings on loan from an exhibition from the Tate in London, and 1 Caspar David Friedrich painting on loan from the Kunsthalle Hamburg. Although 2 thieves and a dealer were arrested soon after, the search for the missing painting took more than a decade to complete. In 2000, investigators said that the Turners were being held by a Serbian gang. Then, in 2002, the Tate revealed that it had, in fact, secretly retrieved the Turners and made £38 million in the process, thanks to an insurance gambit. Sandy Nairn, a program director at Tate, recounted the 8-year negotiation process in a 2011 book that placed the Turner theft within the context of other historical art heists. Part of his point has been to offer a glimpse into how officials haggle for works once they're stolen. Quote, negotiation is a key skill, he once said. Meanwhile, the Kunsthalle Hamburg had its Friedrich back in 2003 via a lawyer who coordinated with the thieves. In the end, 3 men were convicted for the theft of the Turners, and 2 men who gave the thieves the keys to the museum were acquitted. "Thousand thanks for the bad security," read a note left behind when the scream was stolen from the National Museum in Oslo. Not to be confused with the 2004 heist of a different version of Edvard Munch's masterpiece. This theft involved thieves breaking into the museum, snapping the wire that held the scream to a wall, and departing with the famed painting. The action took place against the backdrop of the opening festivities for the 1994 Winter Olympics, which took place in Lillehammer, about 2 hours north of the capital city. Immediately, the heist became a sensation within Norway, where anti-abortion activists claimed they could have the painting returned in exchange for national television airing a commercial geared to their interest. They were lying. They didn't know where the painting was. The search for the painting lasted almost 2 years, with the government declining to pay a $1 million ransom because it was believed to be a disingenuous offer. The scream was ultimately found in a hotel in a city north of Oslo. In 1996, 4 men were convicted in connection with the heist. 5. You don't necessarily have to be a professional to pull off a major caper, as this heist goes to show. In 1985, 2 college dropouts linked to a drug ring stole 124 artifacts, including a priceless jade death mask representing a Mayan ruler from the National Museum of Archaeology in Mexico City. That the 2 amateurs were able to pull off such a heist was mainly due to the intense preparation they'd done. They canvassed the museum more than 50 times ahead of actually executing the theft, which involved crawling through an air conditioning duct. Once authorities caught the 2 culprits, it was discovered that some of the artifacts were nearly traded for cocaine. The theft continues to hold a special place in the public imagination because of the thieves' lack of expertise, and in 2018 the heist provided the inspiration for Museo, a feature film in which Gael Garcia Bernal played one of the burglars. The artwork that gave its name to the Impressionist art movement was stolen from Paris's Musée Marmottan in 1985, in one of the most daring heists ever committed anywhere. The thieves who stole the work entered in broad daylight, having bought tickets like everyone else, and they took Claude Monet's iconic 1872 painting Impression Sunrise, along with works by Berthe Morisot and Pierre-Auguste Renoir. 9 guards and 40 visitors were held at gunpoint as some of the works were yanked from gallery walls. Although the 9 stolen works were valued at $20 million, some said that Impression Sunrise was priceless. 5 years later, all 9 works were recovered at a villa in Corsica, and 7 people were arrested. The theft of 5 major works of modern art from Paris's Musée des Arts Modernes de la Ville in 2010 was so slick it drew comparisons to Arsène Lupin, the fictional thief of French pulp fame, and Spider-Man, whose name became the moniker by which the burglar who committed the heist ended up being known. That year, Vigerin Tomic returned repeatedly to the museum, spraying an acid on a window that allowed him to enter seamlessly. One night, at 3 a.m., he stole Henri Matisse's Pastoral, 1905. Then, because the alarms didn't go off, he also took works by Amadeo Modigliani, Fernand Léger, Pablo Picasso, and Georges Braque. Tomic is believed to have been working on commission for a dealer named Jean-Michel Corvez, who wanted to sell them. After months of surveilling his every move, following him even as he prepared to rob the Centre Pompidou, French police arrested Tomic in 2011. Once caught, Tomic was sentenced to 8 years in prison by a judge who said that the theft involved taking cultural goods belonging to humankind's artistic heritage. Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa may be the most well-known artwork in the world, and an art heist is one of the reasons its fame was cemented. Few had cared much about the painting until 1911, when Vincenzo Peruggia, an Italian handyman, and 2 of his compatriots spent the night in a closet at the Louvre and then scurried away with the work, taking it with them on a train that departed Paris on a Sunday morning. The matter became one of international intrigue thanks to the press in France, where competing publications sought to outdo one another with flashy display copy. The surrounding proceedings even ensnared Pablo Picasso and poet Guillaume Apollinaire, whose apartment was searched. It became too difficult for Peruggia to sell the work. No one would buy an artwork that was receiving so much attention. Peruggia proceeded to stash it away under the floorboards of his Paris apartment, only to try again, 28 months later, to peddle the work, this time to a dealer from Florence. Peruggia believed that he was aiding in cultural repatriation. He thought that Napoleon had plundered a prime piece of Italian heritage and was determined to give it back to his homeland. Leonardo had been working on the painting in France, and upon his death in 1519, King Francis I bought it. The Florentine dealer then phoned Uffizi Galleries director Giovanni Poggi, who took the work, claiming he was going to keep it safe, and called the police. Peruggia only ended up spending 7 months in jail. In the early morning, on the day after St. Patrick's Day in 1990, thieves entered the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, subduing guards who were watching the Boston institution's grounds at night. In the hours that followed, the thieves walked away with riches of almost incalculable art historical value. The concert, circa 1664, one of just 34 known Vermeer paintings, a 1633 Rembrandt painting featuring a boat navigating stormy waters, and a Manet painting of a mysterious man in a cafe. The FBI has said the works, which are still missing as of 2021, are valued at a collected $500 million. Because so much mystery surrounds the case, the heist continues to capture the minds of many, with some suggesting that the mob was involved or the guards were in on it. Some even believe that the works have indeed been destroyed. Today, officials at the museum are unsure about the work's whereabouts. In 2020, curator Ronnie Baer told WBUR, "I wish I could somehow comfort myself in knowing they're somewhere, but I don't know if they still exist." As art has become more recognized for its monetary value, the mistaken idea that stolen art can easily be turned into money has led to many thefts. The technology used in these heists can be sophisticated or simple, only adding to the idea that stealing art is a romantic, victimless crime. Unfortunately, most of art thefts end with disappointed thieves and art that has been damaged or destroyed. Burglaries of the world's greatest artworks continue to be attempted and in some cases executed, but in the end, the only result is the impoverishment of art and history.